Greetings everyone, I am back so we can continue designing a home in AutoCAD. And don't forget to make your layers like you see here on my screen. Your red, your green, your yellow, your cayenne, your magenta. And those are for your exterior walls, interior walls, doors, windows, and casework. Also, don't forget to go into your architecture application button, tab, whatever. Go to Drawing Utilities, Units, and change it to Architectural. Now that is, if you want to work in metric, you go right ahead. This is primarily for my students who are in high school here in the United States. But if you'd rather work in one of the metric forms, that is fine as well. But I'm going to go through the video in architectural imperial form. So let's get started. And we're going to close that. Now the first thing you want to do when you model a house is, kind of start laying down the floor plan. That's really where house design starts. House design starts with the floor plan. Although there is a foundation that goes under that, you really have to have that footprint before you can even do the foundation. So we'll talk about how we want the house, or the the interior and the exterior and all that kind of stuff. But we'll start with footprints. And I have a footprint in mind, just one of the many I've worked with recently that I'm going to do. And also, just give me 1 second here for you so you can see my stuff on my screen a little bit better. I am going to change my line weights to 30 millimeters. You don't have to do that. Of course, line weights would be used to represent different materials with different thicknesses and things of that nature. So be careful with that. And I think I've got what I need thus far. I can change the other ones later. But anyway, so I'm going to start on layer exterior walls. So I want to go into this little layer panel and click on my exterior walls and be working in that layer. So starting with lines, the way I do it is, I kind of have a shape in mind, and it's hard to get started. You just really have to start somewhere. I think I'm going to start this one over here on the right hand side. Let me do one thing real quick. Okay, I'm going to start this one on the right hand side because I kind of know what I'm dealing with over there. But I'm just drawing the line here, and however far that I want that line to extend, I can type it right into my dynamic input. So this is 42 feet long right there. And let's get everything adjusted here to where it fits on the screen. All right, and you'll have to do that as well at first. And a good practice is I like to work up here in this section, the top right quadrant, or quadrant number 1 of the Cartesian system. So think about that too when you start laying down your lines and where you want to move everything to. And so I'm going to move clearly up here into the top right quadrant, hopefully not bounce down into any of the other ones. All right, so I have that first line of that first wall. That's going to be the east side of my house that I'm drawing here. And what I do now is I use a lot of copying and offsetting and things like that to get some of the other dimensions. Now I'm going to offset this one because I know I want a wall running right here, and I know the front of this portion of the house is about 24 feet. So I'm going to do an offset specified distance, as it asks me in the dynamic input. So I'm going to put 24 feet in that dynamic input, click on the line, okay, and there we go. Now I also know that I'm going to have another wall down here somewhere, and that's going to be about another, I think it was about 14 feet. So I am going to offset again. Now that's offsetting for 24, but I'm going to just change that number temporarily to 14 feet. Okay, all right. So we have a beginning. And now I'm going to kind of work on the front. Now I know this one goes right across the front there, and I'm going to offset it, or actually I'm just going to copy this one to go pick my point, reference point, and I'm just going to attach it right there. Now I have another line. This is actually going to sort of set back a little bit here in this section. So this is where it gets kind of tricky. You really have to kind of turn on that grip point and or turn off your end points. I like to keep my end points on, and that of course is done down here in your right where I'm circling. If I hover, it says snap cursor to 2D reference points. Click on the little arrow and you get your menu of what you can snap to. And mine are set pretty basic right now, but I want to put this line about 10 feet or so right up in here, and I'm not really sure how far I want that yet, so I'm just going to move it to about 10 feet. So you got to go down here and you turn on this point to where you get a reference line, where you pull a reference line. If you don't do that, then your cursor will snap down here at this point. Let's try that real quick and I'll show you. So I want to put a line right here at about 10 feet up from this corner. Now if I click, it just automatically snaps to that corner. So what I want to do is go in here and find that corner and then move up on the line, and then I can place my line like so. Okay, and I'm going to trim that piece. Oops. Okay, I didn't do that right. Trimming, of course, you either click on the trim or type it in, then you have to click enter. Trim that off. Okay, and I know I'm going to have another line, another wall about right in here. Okay, and I can already tell, and this is just what happens as you're modeling, you start to notice that you know, whatever you had in mind is not looking its greatest. Okay, so I'm going to do some more trimming. I'm going to trim this line off right here, but I'm going to take this line, I'm going to stretch it out. I don't even know how far yet. Okay, so I might come back later and put a more specific dimension to that, but right now what I'm doing is I'm creating. Now I want to extend these lines out to this line, so I'm going to do an extend. I didn't spell that right. There's extend. Okay, and I'm going to select the target line and then the lines that I want to actually extend. I got to push enter though. Push enter again. Okay, go back into that command, choose my target. There we go. Okay, so that gets me started on that. And there will be some more trimming and cutting going on as we go. Now, so that's the basic outside footprint. That's not permanent, it might change. But what I also want to do is add some thickness to these walls. And here in AutoCAD, you want to be pretty, specific with the materials that I'm going to use to build these walls with. My walls are going to come out to be about 10.5 inches thick. You don't have to be down to the 16th of an inch accurate, but be very close, because it will affect the overall design and the overall experience during construction as well. Eventually you'll definitely want to get everything down to its exact measurement, but I know these walls are going to be 10.5, so I'm going to do some offsetting. I'm going to click on my offset tool and do 10.5 feet. And oops, 10.5, wait, no, 10.5 inches, I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes I just kind of leave it there. But anyway, 10.5 inches, that's more like it. And I'm just kind of offsetting all of these lines to make my exterior wall thicknesses. Okay, Now to kind of clean things up here, I'm going to go into my trim tool, and I'm going to select my trim and then click enter again to make every point a trimming point. And I'm going to clean it up a little bit so I have more of a perspective of what I'm looking at. And yes, I'll have to go back and do some redrawing once I do this. So I'm just clicking in all these corners, cleaning everything up nice and neat. And then I'm going to redraw some lines. I'm going to extend this one. Okay. Should have just stayed in that command. There we go. And then do some trim. Okay, now I know that was kind of boring a little bit, but there's my basic footprint. Okay, so I have the footprint of my house. The next thing I'm going to do is go in and start looking at some interior walls and where I'm going to place some interior walls.